Alright, hello YouTube. This video is going to be a little bit more different from what I usually do. I've never turned my camera on for a video before, so this will be a little new. But for this video, I wanted to speak not as a Lego dictator, although I kind of look like my Roblox character a little bit with the polo and the hair, but as a real person to make this video a little bit more personal. There's been a lot going on lately. I mean, in 2019, we had Carpet Video. In 2021, we had the Docs Wars over me. But things lately have been a little bit more extreme. So with the document and the trial and all the other drama surrounding myself and Octavium, I want to make this video to clear the air about what is going on and what my plan is going forward. So a lot of rumors have gone out that I plan to retire or once again leave the platform forever. And I mean, let the record state for the audience, I mean, I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. Do I need to say this again? I'm not leaving. But I'm not here to make a propaganda speech. I want to be serious. I want to be real with you all because this is a serious situation, no doubt about it. So for starters, this is not a video to rehash old allegations. If you are interested in hearing my defense about any allegations against me, in the description below, I have attached several videos and documents which gives an organized, concise defense and offers up counter evidence in regards to any allegations against me. So instead of focusing on those allegations, I want to instead focus on the truth behind Octavium, and I want to expose the truth behind Tatonia and Stalemated. This is not a video that is going to slander Lloydguard like many documents have in the past. These have been addressed. Most of them have been debunked. Rather, this is going to be a personal testimony on what it was like to work with Lloydguard and the truth behind what is really going on with Stalemated. Lloydguard has kind of touched the surface of Octavium being owned by him and all this other drama. But I wanted to go into an in-depth response to what this is. So, in November 2023, Lloydguard, owner of Tatonia, reached out to me in regards to his plans regarding Tatonia. He had communicated with me that his community had become stale, boring, it had no purpose, we were getting bored, there was nothing to do. What Lloydguard had described to me was that his genre, that his group, was dying. And that competitive groups like USM and IRF became boring for Tatonia to raid because the wars served no purpose and no goal. His game, which was effectively an AFK simulator, and it still is an AFK simulator today, where people play dress up and socialize, was becoming unpopular amongst his old guard. So Lloydguard asked me if I was willing to come back to effectively fight him as controlled opposition. And originally I hesitated. And I disagreed with him because at the time I was retired and I was enjoying it. But upon further discussion, Lloydguard made many promises to me, for starters, that I would have full autonomy over the email, Roblox account, and Discord holder. Secondly, I was promised unlimited funding to get Octavium up to the same capacity as Tatonia, where we'd be rallying 500 members. Thirdly, I was promised access to the Tatonia development team to produce a superb map. In return, my side of the deal was I remain loyal to the Stalemated concept, and Lloydguard earns 50% of profits, including 100% of profits from any PBR assets his team makes for us, which, for the record, 90% of those assets that FW Quist made were assets made by Octavian developers. Not by Tatonian developers. Octavian developers made those hats. That includes the helmets, that includes the cappies, that includes the visors. They were all made by Octavians. The only thing not made by the Octavians is the webbing and the fezzes, which encompasses of a very small minority of everything that has been made by the Octavian dev team. The Tatonian dev team converted our stuff to PBR textures and then uploaded them. And the peak caps, I will say, I am very disappointed in their PBR quality. And so they weren't even that good. I don't even know if it was really that worth it. So in December 2023, I agreed, consulted my inner circle, and the inner circle agreed that it would be a great idea to return to Roblox. A development Discord server was made where we came up with concepts and plans, of which nothing got done. Until February 2024, where still nothing got done. But in February 2024, it was time to execute this big plan that we had arranged, hence the name Big Plan, and Octavium was unveiled to the public. However, upon Octavium getting unveiled, Tatonian development still remained absent. The uniform developer was MIA. There was no development done in any maps. We were given a terrain map, and they told San Return to go make this into a massive map. That's what we were told to do, which, by the way, never got done. So, we built a new development team led by Jack Rescue, Sam Raterian, Xavier's, and Sylvise Raterian. They would build the map known today as Mount Invictus. The only Tatonia development team that worked on this map was one person, and her name was Fra Autumn. What did Fra Autumn do? She built a single cross asset that sits atop of Mount Invictus, and that's it. 99.9% of the map literally was made by the Octavian dev team. Interesting. Despite this, Loikard took credit behind the scenes and bragged to the Elviath amongst other groups that this is what I've done for Octavium. I built all of this for Octavium. No, you did not do anything. I did everything. You were just in the background overseeing it all, while the Octavian dev team worked tooth and nail to get it done. So as time went on, promises that were made were not kept. Eventually, I took matters into my own hands and made a temporary map all by myself named Nevada to get trainings and things moving in June. It was a really mid map. It wasn't a good of a map, but the content of the map was what made it fun. And the Octavian content was so good that people didn't care and still played it, to my surprise. I wasn't even intending for it to be an official map, but it became one because of how active it was. In August, we released Border Fortress Vindicator, which was Octavium's second official map built by our development team. Again, with no support from Tatonia. As promised, Loikard said he was willing to send patrols and raiders every day to my map to keep Octavium active and get things moving. Instead, raids were limited to weekends, and instead of small patrols of army men and naval people and regular soldiers, they sent their elite Rulers Guard soldiers, and not just the Rulers Guard, but an exploiter known as Blue Golden Sky alongside Vactovian clanners. So much for helping Octavium get off its feet. This actually resulted in, to our shock, players not playing the map, as most of the players were still green to the combat, and the map died. Completely fell apart. So in October, Starboard Tyrion approached me with a new offer, that I buy his Checkpoint Madrid. The style of the map was similar to how our old games worked, like Paris and London and Pyongyang, for reference, and so on with the purchase. Again, Loikard with his funding contributed nothing to this deal, with the exception of allowing Stahl to have 50% of profits because of how dire our situation was, because we were so desperate for a new map. So he agreed to that, and luckily Stahl agreed to that deal as well, which was signed in a contract. Madrid was a success, but not because of any contributions or support that Loikard offered, but because the old guard turned out alongside the Root Gens who came from Root Media and Banastic, alongside other social media content released by our team. Tatonia, unlike Loikard's promises, only raided on weekends or rare occasions, complaining that we were godding our soldiers. No, we weren't. I god myself, and only myself, and in any event anyone else is godded, it is usually an accident. Alongside other allegations, which is very funny because Blue Golden Sky would also attend these raids on Madrid, and it was proven that he was exploiting, killing people across the map while he is shooting in mid-air. Interesting. Very interesting. So, most of the action and activity didn't come from Tatonia. It came from our own members that I worked tooth and nail to obtain through good social media presence. Through Root Media, Banastic, my videos, and because we had active paramilitary factions not from Tatonia, that I had to wrangle into the game and get active to fight our members, to compromise for an absence of Tatonia. We were literally fighting through hell to get this map to remain active, despite every promise that was made to us. But another big problem, and it gets better, was that Lloydguard had was with the Christian community aspect of Octavium. It was the values that we were fostering. It was the views. Lloydguard didn't care that much about my politics. As a matter of fact, we agree on a lot. I mean, not everything, obviously, but we agree on a lot more than you would think. And I kept my politics very contained. But he was very critical of our Christianity and of Zaenderism, which upholds Christian values, as we all know. Because of Lloydguard's militant atheist stance, in Tatonia, Christians are often discriminated, persecuted against, and ridiculed for their values, which is why a lot of them end up joining Octavium when I created Octavium. Lloydguard was not happy with this, and wanted Octavium to share the same cultural and ideological values as Tatonia. What are these values? Diversity, equity, inclusion, versus the Octavian values of strength, brotherhood, and loyalty, which was outlined since day one of our values. However, by the time that Lloydguard was becoming frustrated with this, it was already too late, and I had amassed a following too powerful to have me replaced or removed. Replacing me would also go against the contract, which said I could only be removed in the event that I tried to leave Octavium to form a new project, which I have not done until I was removed recently. Lloydguard's true plan with Stalemated was not to foster a community like the Napoleonic, but to have complete and total reign over the genre. Most of you already know this. By owning all the Stalemated groups, Lloydguard is able to subjugate the values and everything to be totally in line with his vision. These groups are given the illusion that if they work together, they can defeat Tatonia and liberate the genre. Really. But the reality is that this is a lie, and these groups are just punching bags for Tatonia. In multiple practice raids of Tatonia, Lloydguard allowed Octavian clanners and exploiters to win raids against Octavium, or attempt to in most cases, even though Octavium was in its early stages and still not combat ready as Tatonia was. Lloydguard knew this and did this anyway, to humiliate us and demonstrate he is the superior people to Octavium. Octavium also won official raids against Tatonia, such as the February conflicts, which entertained 3 conflicts, one of which was an official raid, when the Ruler's Guard raided Octavium on its Pharaoh map, outskirts of Paris, also known as the outskirts of Champagne. The Ruler's Guard abused admin to give themselves gear and tools in an attempt to win, and they still lost the battle. Speak of embarrassing. Lloydguard, instead of taking responsibility for this, you would expect him to, blamed Octavium for the Ruler Guard generals abusing admin, saying that they should have had admin in the first place. Your command should have admin in the first place. Okay, it's my fault. My bad. To F up an official raid that both sides planned. Pre-planned, by the way. And because we never conceded this raid, Lloydguard threatened to remove territory on the Stalemated map among other things. When I accepted the offer to run Octavium, my plan was not for Octavium to be Tatonia, but Spanish. Anyone who believes that is an idiot. My plan was for Octavium to be a Christian alternative to Tatonia, as it always has been, which would liberate the genre from values which we felt were actually unproductive towards the youth. Instead of a group that only cared about LARP, the goal is to build a group where we would have in real life meetups, get young people jobs, internships, and work towards something beyond the Roblox platform. In Tatonia, on the other hand, you are expected to join a game with no content, no battles, and set AFK to fulfill your activity quotas. In Octavium, we prioritize content, fun, and action over just sitting AFK at a border, which to this day is the content that Tatonia gives to its members. Lloydguard was furious with this, so much so that when he saw that I was meeting with my members in real life and doing things beyond the game, weeks later, he had a meetup of his own. Remember this? several months ago, he had his own meetup. Except his vision of this meetup, his version of this meetup, wasn't introducing his members to politics and jobs, but rather getting drunk at the pub. Really. But I'm the inappropriate one, who is a bad influence for my members. Okay. For the record, I believe that there was an age requirement, that it was 18 plus or whatever, to attend this said meetup. I'm not saying there were any minors there, but to own a Roblox group and say that I have had inappropriate behavior, and this is one of the many things in Tatonia that's happened, which makes Octavium stand out as a better alternative that is Christian, I would say it's hypocritical compared to what Loikard has said in the past about my actions. Look in the mirror, you hypocrite. At Octavium's peak in June of 2025, there were evenings and mornings where Madrid had more players than Tatonia, despite Tatonia being quadruple the size of Octavium. Most of the Octavians remember this. We would brag about it all the time. The rallies were hype, the content was a blast, and Octavium was easily on its way to becoming a mainstream empire capable of rivaling Tatonia, led by yours truly. The members of Octavium are not brainwashed into being loyal to me. The members are loyal to me because I am awesome and have produced one of the greatest groups that they have known in their lifetime. That's why they're loyal to me, contrary to what I have been accused of. Indoctrination, my ass. When we made Octavium, it was not made as controlled opposition, as Loikard had planned, but as an actual real alternative to Tatonia, where players who sympathize more with healthy, strong communities versus a generative, boring DEI slop. And sure, you can make the argument that eventually Loikard removed me or subjugate Octavium. But that is why Octavium always expressed loyalty to me over the group itself. That is why we always foreshadowed that Octavium was not the last group, and many more would follow after Octavium. That is why our legacy of 9 years is so imperative. How many groups have we lost? How many times have I been removed? And we have continued to build group after group after group regardless of our struggle, as we have done with Octavium. If I could go back in time and do Octavium without Loikard having his joint access contracts, Octavium would be 90% the size it is today. Barely affected or changed because of lack of contributions Loikard has made. Unlike other people who slander Loikard, the real expose on Loikard is not that he's some gay pedo groomer, or that he's secretly still a Nazi building the Fourth Reich. That's a load of horseshit, and if you believe that, you are also a moron, for the record. And although, Loikard's views politically are very similar to mine, that I will admit, and I won't go any further or elaborate on that. I don't need to. But what I will say is that Loikard spits on the name of Jesus Christ, and he does hate Christianity. And he hates the idea of a Christian alternative to Tatonia. Loikard is someone who is manipulative and dangerous when given power over an entire genre because of the fact that he wants to control everything, including his own opposition. And I'm not going to say that Loikard deserves to be deplatformed, like Loikard did to me over baseless allegations built on theories and assumptions. By the way, just saying. In fact, I defended Loikard plenty of times over the so-called Christian crusaders, that Lloyd is an atheist and we must kill him and we must get rid of him, wanting his life ruined. Loikard did not do the same to me because he believes in the RCR document. He does not believe in the RCR document. Loikard removed me because he believes that I pose a genuine and real threat to him. According to the stalemated oversight, and I won't name names, but I was told this. According to the stalemated leadership, Loikard was already frustrated with Octavium because of our lack of involvement in stalemated and our stubbornness in regards to the war front. You won no one raid, you didn't fair zone raid us, We did fair zone raid you, And you lost after trying to abuse, by the way. When the RCR document came out, it was the perfect scapegoat to use against me to finally remove me from Octavium. Let me also remind the audience that RCR Mike also did a hit piece on Tatonia back then. Do you know why RCR took that down? Because unlike Loikard, like the good friend that I tried to be to Loikard, I told Mike that the document was exaggerated and that Loikard is not nearly as bad as the document claims. And henceforth, Mike confronted Loikard and did so passively and gracefully because I vouch for Loikard. That as someone who is critical of him and his competitor, he is not an evil person. And Mike decided not to go forth with his hit piece. Loikard's allegations are not too different from mine. Some see his as worse. I'm accused of being a Christian nationalist, fascist, whatever. And he's accused of being a DPRK-loving Nazi who was part of a neo-Nazi movement 6 years ago, whatever. And I got accused of being friends with a 17-year-old girl who was a minor, and therefore it's grooming. How does that make any sense? And he got accused of sending gay porn into servers full of underage kids and sending anti-Christian rhetoric and posting blasphemous gay porn of Jesus in front of kids in the server. He also was accused of grooming his members, which I personally find to be untrue. I've never seen evidence that he's groomed anyone, based on what I've seen. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But as far as I'm concerned, not true. So, in private calls with Loikard agreed that the RCR document was exaggerated and clearly out of context, but refused to defend or say this publicly because he was worried the public would crucify him for it. Very interesting. Perhaps his followers aren't as loyal to him as people claim. I hear this a lot, that Loikard can't do anything about anything because he will get betrayed by his inner circle. Well. The truth is that Loikard is a hypocrite. He is an opportunist and someone who is also incompetent. His promises to me were not only unfulfilled because over time I became more resistant, but at first because Loikard did not actually have the ability to convince the developers to work with me, nor did he actually have the resources to contribute. I was told day one I would receive Tatonian defects, and it took Loikard an entire year and a half until his promise was finally fulfilled. Incompetence and laziness at its finest. When I worked tireless every day working on my group, advising the development, and micromanaging all affairs related to my group and its branches and divisions and uniforms and everything, Loikard criticized me that I was overworking myself. That's a weird criticism. That I was overworking myself and advised myself on multiple occasions to, quote, go take a break and just go for a wank like he would do. Very gross suggestion. And I'm the inappropriate one. Because Loikard doesn't run his group, his inner circle does. Loikard hates the fact that I am involved with my community and take part in every single element of my community. Because it shows that I actually care about Octavium more so than Loikard cares about Tatonia. That's why. Now, I mean, for those who are going to say to me, why did I lie? He had access the whole time to tell us? Why did you tell us? The allegations against me were that Tatonia built my maps. That Loikard funded everything. Did they do that? Let me remind you that I had to start the GoFundMe at the very beginning of Octavium to get all the USD payments in my group to pay development, of which consisted of only about 90% of all transactions. At most, Loikard contributed maybe like 60,000, 70,000, 80,000 Robux, which sounds like a lot, but considering he's a multi-Robux millionaire as he claims, it's really not that much if you think about it. Meanwhile, we blew thousands and thousands of USD on Octavium. I had to pay out of pocket 200 USD. Thanks to my investors and Random G. Smith, I was reimbursed. The allegations were that I had no geo access, that I was not Octurnus, that I didn't have email access, which I did have access to all of those things. At no point did anyone ask me if I had signed contracts with Lloydguard. I've been asked, is Lloydguard an investor? And I've said, yeah, he is. That's not a lie. I didn't lie about that. So I didn't lie about that. No one asked if Lloydguard had joint access. No one asked me about that. People said I have no access. People said that Lloydguard has full ownership. These vague terms that mean nothing. I can deny it because it's not true. And it wasn't true. So there you go. I didn't lie. My priest told me that not telling the full story is not a lie or dishonesty. So for you Catholics out there that are going to say you need to be repentant, there's not really any dishonesty. And if there was any, I repented for it. I go to confession every week. So don't hold it against me. So is this a big nuke drop? Is it over? Of course, it is a big nuke drop. That Lloydguard was part of Octavium and part of this grand plan, and that there would never be a universe where Octavium would be completely independent and sovereign. And there are points where I could have stolen the group, where I could have changed the email to another email that had no recovery access. I could have saved all the codes to the Octurnus Discord account and used it to log back in. I could have done anything to be salty and toxic, and I didn't. The whole 1.5 years that I had access. So it's important. What I will say is this, is that when I made Octavium, it was made to be a genuine opposition to Tatonia. And the only way to compete with Tatonia in this genre and give an alternative was to play by Lloydguard's rules, which, of course, Lloydguard cheated and rigged it for himself to win. You can't win a game that's rigged. You can't win a game that he cheats at, which I, at the time, in 2023, did not predict. I did not think that Lloydguard would do that. I was advised by a lot of close friends who had also known Lloydguard that Lloydguard is a really good mentor and that he usually plays fair. And I believed them. It's not their fault. But I thought, okay, I trust Lloydguard. I mean, I thought, what could go wrong? Worst case scenario, nothing happens. Best case scenario, I get a giant group. What's the big deal? We were in a way successful. Hundreds of our followers are people who defected from Tatonia. Tatonia gave us a platform that we otherwise wouldn't have had without the deals we made with the Lloydguard and Stalmated. Was Octavium really worth it? In this regard, among others, I would say yes. I'm not sure if I would say that, had Lloydguard not hyped me up to run Octavium, I don't know if I'd be here. Right? I could say that Lloydguard is the reason why I'm here making this video. You could say that, whatever. I'll give credit there where it's due. But that does not justify him or his newfound rule over Octavium. No one will accept a Lloydguardist puppet rule over Octavium. That's ridiculous. No one signed up to be part of Octavium but Spanish. Octavium is now a Lloydguardist puppet. Even if half the allegations are true, even if you think that what happened was weird but not grooming, okay. Even if you think that I said some weird stuff that was a joke but out of pocket or whatever 2 years ago. Even if that's true, which, let me just reaffirm, I do not believe in any way, shape, or form that I did anything morally evil. Okay, for the record. You must admit that the alternative is still not better. That document on me is still not better than what I have exposed today and everything else going on in Tatonia. It's hypocritical what's being said here. I can't make friends with girls who are 17 and 11 months years old, but Lloydguard can post gay, blasphemous porn of Jesus Christ and get away with it. I think that's ridiculous. I'm not saying that Lloydguard should be deplatformed or exposed or his life ruined. I'm saying that that's hypocritical. Because it is hypocritical. And it's unfair and it's unrighteous. It's the fact of the matter is that I'm to be ridiculed and replaced and totally destroyed because of a short-lived affiliation with Arian, because for a short period of time, a girl fell in love with me a year ago, and when I found out, I removed her, and because she's still in the group, I'm guilty. I'm an evil person. Well, now here I am. Here's my face. I'm a real person. Go expose me. Ruin my life. No one, in my opinion, no one will take that seriously. I don't think no one will see that narrative and think anything of it. I believe that confidently. Roblox people will, that are into Tatonia and Stalmated. People that don't like me will believe that narrative. No shock there. But that's what's going on here. Meanwhile, Lloydguard gets to go scot-free, run his empire with zero consequences or responsibility for his past. And he's made documents. He's had his own troubles, his own betrayals. He's gone through shit. I'm sure that he has in some way been repentant or regretted what he's done. I think he has. But it's hypocritical that he can do that and then move on with his group, but I get thrown out the window. That's the point that I'm making. Because you're going to misconstrue this and say that I'm exposing Lloydguard or trying to say that he should be destroyed, and I'm not saying that. I've never said that. The second worst thing that we can do is do nothing and let this evil triumph. And the absolute worst thing we can do, worse than even that, is to remain complicit and continue Octavium under Lloydguard's oversight. Octavium and what it was before is gone. What we built was only possible through me. Stay in Octavium if you wish. You will see that I was right all along. Lloydguard will place Tatonians in Octavium to exaggerate numbers, but ultimately they will fail. And even with those exaggerated numbers, Octavium will under-rally and it will collapse. Because no one wants to be in a group completely encompassed of my vision, not led by me. That will never happen. If you agree with my message and you truly want an alternative to Tatonia, then, as I tell everyone else, trust the plan. Join my servers, spread the word, and await the next task. In the coming of weeks, as I finish up real-life work, I've got my upcoming trip to Tampa, I will unveil a new, bigger plan. A new stalemated-esque project that will effectively compete with Lloydguard and Tatonia. And stalemated, for that matter. For real this time. This is a completely independent competition. No contracts, no joint ownership, no deals with third parties, a group completely independent and totally ran by me. That is my promise. Going forward, full transparency and no more backroom deals to try and bolster us and gain leverage. No cutting corners, full ownership, full control. Alexander has the reins and no one can stop him. Some of you may be a little upset, but understand that what I did it because the alternative was to do nothing. If I didn't make the deal that I did with Lloydguard, the Octavians would still be fighting each other in the streets at Paris, or whatever map. Nothing would be done. It would be 2026, and it would still be Patrick versus Ozzy. By returning a bite with, some concessions, which resulted in these consequences, we have effectively unified the community, and are now strong enough to push forward and do whatever we please without restrictions. I am now unrestrained, I am now unsubjugated, and I am now free of all criticism and control. What these people have done is the absolute worst thing, and it is to give me full, unmoderated control over my people. You can't restrict the owner access to my holder accounts anymore. You can't go in there and hold a trial and threaten me and say if I lose the trial, I am done for. I now have full control and full power over my people. And they will grow, and they will remain loyal, and we will build bigger, greater things without anyone ever again influencing what we do. You have made the worst mistake of your life. You have. You sincerely have thrown away everything to make me more powerful than I have ever been before. We are now free of criticism and control. And this is honestly the greatest gift that God has given us. God did. God is the ultimate judge and the ultimate arbiter of justice. And now, as originally planned, we will go forth and preach His word, the word of God, and the values that we have upheld since the beginning, unrestricted. Nobody can reprimand us. Nobody can replace us. Instead, we will replace you. We will replace them. You will not replace me. And you will not replace us. and I will stand by my members, and I will maintain what I have built and continue it forevermore. So for those who are loyal, join the new Discord, join the new group post in the description, and also check out the other links, check out the evidence that I provided, check out my side of the story where I dig into the allegations and fully debunk them and clear my name. Otherwise, I mean, that's pretty much it. God bless you all. Ave Alexander. Ave Christus Rex. I will speak to all of you soon, and good night. Refill your popcorn. Enjoy the show.